Hello, I'm Liam Naden, and welcome to this presentation about manifestation and manifesting what you want. We're just getting started. I haven't done much of these live presentations to date, so bear with me if I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. But if there's anybody here so far, or perhaps you'll notice there's some chat. I've activated that. If you'd like to maybe put in a comment to know that I know this who's here, if you could just say hi or let me know you're here. Anybody going to say hello? Okay, well, let's get started. Maybe some people will arrive a little bit later. So in this presentation, I want to talk to you about perhaps a slightly different way of looking at the whole thing of manifesting and how we actually manifest things in our life and get what we really want. And in fact, not only that, but how we get what we don't want. In other words, how we get everything we get in our life. And, you know, for a long time, I've been studying this whole idea, and I've done all sorts of things from trying prayer to being motivated, setting goals, using affirmations, visualization, a lot of these different techniques. But one thing I noticed was I wasn't consistently getting the results that I really wanted. So sometimes I would pray to God for what I wanted, and sometimes I got what I asked for, and other times I didn't. Sometimes I set goals and really worked to achieve them. A lot of the time I didn't get those either, even though occasionally I did. And I used affirmations for many years. I used self-hypnosis. I did visualization. And again, what puzzled me was sometimes these would work, but a lot of the time they didn't. So my quest has really been to try and uncover what is the real secret to manifesting. Well, not necessarily the real secret, but what actually works, because I wanted to know what the real answer was. And to me, the answer, the truth, can only be something that works 100% of the time for every single person who uses it. So perhaps can compare it to, say, something like gravity. And now you know there is a law of gravity. And if you're going to walk out of a window on a 10th floor building, you are going to fall down. Now, it doesn't matter how much prayer how much you've prayed not to fall down, or how much visualization you've done about maybe flying out the window, or affirmations telling yourself that you would fly. Doesn't matter how much of that you do, you know that it's not going to work. You are going to fall down. So there has to be a law or a method, if you like, that guarantees that something is going to happen in this physical world, which we're a part of. So we know that for gravity. So I figured there had to be something like that for manifesting, for getting what we wanted in our life, being successful, having all the things we wanted in our life. And I also thought on the other side to that, there had to be a law or a reason or a method to ensure that we stop getting the things we didn't want. In other words, all the problems that we constantly often seem to be bombarded with. Because oftentimes, I'm sure you'd agree, what you're actually asking for is the removal of a problem. Okay, so I knew there had to be an answer to this. And after a long time and several personal experiences, which really catalyzed my learning of this, more and more I realized what is really going on. And what's really going on in your life on a physical level is that you actually do have something that is there designed specifically to manifest or give you anything you really want, and to make sure you stay out of danger, stay out of trouble. So in other words, to stay away from stress and problems. And we've been provided this as part of the natural world because we are a part of the natural world. We have a physical component, a physical body. And being a part of the natural world, we're designed to fit in and survive. And not only survive, but to thrive. So we've been given a mechanism that will manifest anything that we want. And it's a part of the physical world, and as a result, it adheres to physical laws like gravity. And of course, that thing that I'm talking about, that we've been given, as you probably guessed from the title, is your brain. Now, it's a bit strange, isn't it, that we don't know a lot about our brain, and we go and we study all these techniques and methods and ideas and try and figure out a way to get what we want and to turn our life into something that we're really happy with and happy about. But we're not really taught to use the tools that we've actually been given to do that. And it's 500 trillion microcomputer processors. That's the computing power of your brain. So, of course, if we've been given this machine with all that computing power, surely it can find a way to manifest anything we want. I'm told that. An example is in the Bible. In the Bible, Jesus said, "Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added to you." Now, what that means, if you seek first to find the kingdom of heaven, you don't need to look for everything else that you want. You will get those things. In other words, you'll get everything that you really want to make you happy. So where is the kingdom of heaven? Well, again, the Bible, Jesus was very clear about that. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's within you. In other words, it's within this machine, this incredibly powerful tool, your brain. But you have to know how to use your brain the right way. Because if your brain's designed to give you everything that you want, it's designed to make you happy, it's designed to use all of its infinite computing power to ensure that you do live a happy, successful, and safe life, then why would you have problems? Well, it's because your brain's a machine. And like every machine, if you use it the wrong way, you're going to get problems. And just think of your car. If you put the wrong fuel in it, if you try and start it in the wrong way, if you pull a wire out of the engine, if you're trying to use it in the wrong way, you are going to get problems. It's not going to work properly. And your brain, although it's infinitely more powerful than your car, it is just a machine. So that's what I really discovered about, and is what led me to really research how our brain works. And in this talk, I want to share with you not only a bit about how your brain works, but how you can use it the right way so that you actually easily manifest everything you want and end up with a happy, fulfilling life, which is what you're supposed to have being here, or how you can use it the wrong way, which is unfortunately what most people are doing. And when you do that, when you use it the wrong way, you're going to have problems. So you'll see the difference as we go along. And I also want to share with you, there's really only one difference, one thing you need to do differently, which separates you from doing it the right way versus doing it the wrong way. There's one simple thing, not necessarily easy, but it's simple, on how you can use your brain in the right way rather than the wrong way. Okay, well, I don't know how much you know about your brain, but it is on one level incredibly complex. It's infinitely complex. But on another level, the way it actually works, the way it actually functions, is actually quite simple. Excuse me. And essentially, if you think about how you live in your physical body, you realize there's really only two states, emotional states, that you live in. One is when your environment is safe, in which case you can just get on and live your life and be happy. And the other state is when you face a danger. So your life is either safe or dangerous. And your brain is set up to deal with both of those situations. And the way it deals with those situations, firstly, when everything is safe in your life, that's when you feel good. And your brain is saying, everything is safe in your environment, so get on and live your great life. Be happy. Enjoy all of the good things of life. Be creative. Use your intuition. Use your imagination. Love. Be compassionate to others. Be motivated. And I will help bring all of the things you need into your life so that you can be like that. So that we can create an environment for you where you are being at your best and being at your happiest. And the other state, the other process in the brain is when something comes along that's a threat or a danger to you. And that's when your brain is, instead of saying to you, just relax, be creative, be imaginative, enjoy your life, be loving and compassionate and excited and full of all those positive emotions. Instead of that, your brain says, danger, warning, there's something to be afraid of, and we need to get rid of this danger. And of course, what your brain does is that's when you feel afraid and stressed and worried and concerned because you're facing a danger. Now, the way your brain manages this is when you're feeling good and creative and in your natural state and your body's at its best, you're not under any stress, you're not under pressure, you're energized, all of your physical organs, your breathing, your heartbeat, everything's working optimally. But on the other hand, when you're under stress, your brain is saying there is a danger that you are facing. And of course, what does the brain do? What does it do to your body when it tells you that you're facing a danger? Well, it puts you in a state, you might have heard of it, you get this feeling, I have to react, there's a danger here. And you do things impulsively, usually without thinking. So an example is if you're walking along a road and you hear a car coming towards you and you think it might hit you, you hear the sound of the car, you jump out of the way. And you do it without thinking. But what's actually happening? It's your brain that's doing the work, really. You're reacting to the situation. And I'm sure you've felt this, and many times you suddenly feel anxious. There's some sort of stimulus, like maybe somebody raising their hand or their voice towards you, or a car coming past you and very close, and you might be in danger of being hit by the car. And you just react, and you feel your heart racing, your blood pumping, and you're stressed and you're concerned, but you're also not thinking. So that's what we call the survival mechanism of the brain, and it's designed specifically to ensure that you react instinctively without thinking to a danger or a threat that may present itself to you as you live out your life. Now you might be thinking, well, how does this relate to manifesting? Well, the point is that there's something very specific that happens when your brain reacts to a danger. And apart from making you feel afraid or stressed or anxious and ready to take action, what it actually does is it shuts down temporarily all of that creative part of your brain, all of the part of the brain that is responsible for you manifesting your ideal life, because it diverts all of that energy to getting rid of that danger, to facing that danger and getting rid of it as quickly as possible so that you can get back to your happy, natural state and manifesting what you really want and need to be happy. So it's a very temporary thing, but the point is your brain literally, as I said before, diverts all of its resources away from your thinking, away from your creativity, and away from your manifesting ability to reacting and fighting off that danger. And the idea is get rid of that danger as quickly as possible so we can get back to a good and happy life. Now, this happens on a physical level, and science has identified, neuroscientists who study this sort of thing have identified we actually have two emotional and physiological states. And one is called, or two aspects of our nervous system. So when we're feeling good, what's activated is what's called our parasympathetic nervous system, and that everything works perfectly, smoothly in our life. And when we feel stressed in response to a threat or a danger, we activate something called our sympathetic nervous system. And what that does is it shuts down all our creativity, puts all of our focus on looking for and removing danger. And the signal that our brain gives us as to whether something's safe or whether something's dangerous is how we feel. So literally what's happening, when you feel afraid, when you feel worried, stressed, frustrated, in any way negative, what's happening on a physical level is your brain, the reason you're feeling that way is your brain is sending a signal to your body to say you are facing a danger. And what happens then is that all of your greater awareness of who you are and your ability to live your life properly and happily is all shut down. It's all blocked because your brain is looking for a danger to remove straight away so it can get you back to that state. But the problem for most of us, most people, is we're in this state of fear, worry, stress a lot of the time. And our brain, rather than just being able, which is designed to use this in short bursts to get rid of an immediate danger, our brain is almost continuously, when we're in the state of fear and worry and anxiety, our brain's awareness is virtually continuously shut off. So we don't have the ability in that state, when we're feeling stressed, worried, and afraid, we don't have the ability to manifest the things that we want in our life, because our brain can't give it to us in that state. It's not designed to do that. This is not the manifesting state of our brain. This is the reaction to danger state of our brain. So this is why the real problem, and you've probably found this in your own life, when you're really stressed, when you're worried, when you're afraid, when you've got a problem, you can't solve that problem when you're feeling stressed. You can't, because your brain does not have access to all of the resources that it needs to solve that problem. It doesn't have access to your creativity, your imagination, your ability to think outside the square and come up with new solutions, or to motivate you to do something new that's going to really make the difference. And one of the ways to know this is to really think about, have you ever had a friend who's had a major problem? Perhaps they've had a problem in their relationship or their finances. Maybe they don't like their job, or they've got a problem in their business. But let's just stick with the relationship one. Maybe a friend comes to you and says, oh, you know, my marriage, I'm really unhappy, and my husband or my wife, I really want to sort, you know, they want a divorce, or they're really unhappy, and I don't want to lose my marriage, but I don't know what to do, and oh, I'm so stressed about it, and I really, really want to save my marriage. And I use this as an example because I actually do a lot of marriage coaching as well for people in this situation. But here's the thing. Your friend, if you can imagine this, who comes to you and says, I really want to save my marriage, isn't it true you probably know what they should do? And you might say to them something like, look, if they want a divorce, let them go. You're far too good for them anyway. And let's face it, your marriage hasn't been happy for a long time. You haven't been as happy as you could be, and you could find someone far better. You know, you don't need to hang around with that person. If they want to go, let them go. And it's, you know, don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll find somebody else. You'll find somebody better, and you'll be a lot happier. But what does your friend say? They say, oh no, I can't do that. No, I want to save this marriage. I need to. I'm committed to saving this marriage. Now, the marriage, when you look at it, you can see it's not very good. You know, maybe they haven't been getting on for a while. Maybe it's been an abusive relationship. Maybe they're just not suited to each other. But the thing is, you can see that, but they can't. They're still in the state of mind of, I can fix it, I can save it. Yes, I can make it perfect, even though, all right, it hasn't been great, but I can make it perfect. Now, what's the difference? Why can't they see it, but you can? Well, the only difference is that they're stressed about it. They're in a negative emotional state. So their brain is literally unable to let them see, or unable to show them the big picture about their life. It can't show them that they don't have a good marriage, that the marriage should end. It can't show them that they will be fine in the future and they will find somebody else. They're busy thinking, I'll never find anyone else. I have to fix this. I'll be alone and lonely and no one will love me and I'll be a failure if I give up. They can't see any of that, but you can. And the only difference, as I said, is your emotional state. You're not feeling stressed about it, and they are. And when they're feeling stressed, even if they want to, they physically cannot. Their brain cannot function to show them the right things to do. Okay, so how does this relate to manifesting? Well, I think if you can understand, and I hope I've explained it in a simple way, but if you can understand that when you're afraid, when you're stressed, when you're feeling any negative emotion, when you're frustrated, you cannot manifest everything you want, because you cannot harness the thing that manifests for you, which is your brain. This 500 trillion microprocessor computer that you use that can manifest anything and is designed to give you everything that you need for your perfect life. You can't access that. Your brain cannot do that for you. You know, artists, musicians, creators, they've often documented and said when they're in a stressed emotional state, they can't create. They can only create when they're feeling good, when they don't have problems. Now, of course, some of them use things to create artificially the right emotional state. But if you look at people like, say, Beethoven, the composer, he used to go for walks in the forest because it made him feel good. And that's when his creative ideas came to him. He'd take a notebook with him and write down his ideas. So great artists will tell you, and this is why, that when they're feeling stressed, they can't create properly. And it's because their brain, on a physical level, cannot manifest, doesn't have access to the parts of the brain that actually are the creative parts. And if you really want to manifest everything you really want in your life, that's the part you need to use to do it. That's the part that's going to know and find the right solutions to your problems if you have them. It's going to stop you doing more of the wrong things to either make your existing problems worse or to give you more problems. I'm sure you've had that experience. And it's going to know exactly, it's going to be able to bring you the right circumstances, the right people, the right ideas. You're going to make the right decisions. All of the right things are going to happen when you allow your brain to do its job, when it's at its best, using its full resources. And I'm sure you've probably found this, because if you really think about it, isn't it true that most of the things that happen in your life, that really the important things that make a difference, they're generally unexpected? I mean, I said earlier about goal setting. You know, you can sit down at the beginning of the year or whenever and write down a goal, but what actually happens in your life, it's a bit puzzling, isn't it? It's not necessarily related to what you write down. In fact, the most important things usually happen completely unexpectedly. So if you're in a relationship, if you're married, and you think back to when you met your partner or your spouse, did you know you were going to meet them the day before you did, or an hour before you did? Or did you, for some reason, something happened that you met them? Now you might think, well, that's just that's coincidence, or it wasn't planned. No, it wasn't planned by your conscious thinking brain, but your creative brain knew how to create that for you. And you might have heard of the law of attraction, and this is related to that. But the whole point is that the unexpected things are what dictate and determine your life, and they're all created for you or brought to you. They seem to be unexpected or not things you're asking for, but they're brought to you by your creative brain. And your creative brain can only operate when you're not in a state of fear, because when you're in a state of fear or negative emotion, your brain is not focused on finding you nice things to look at. Your brain is hearing you say, or giving you the message, or getting the message, there's a danger here, we just need to fight the danger. There's a problem. And this is one of the reasons why people, when they have a problem, and even if they solve it, they create more problems in their life, because their brain is continually looking for more problems when they're feeling stressed. So that really leads to the inevitable conclusion, which is, how do you stop? Because well, the answer then, isn't it, if you want to manifest anything in your life, anything that you want, if you want to have a happy life, if you want to achieve goals using your creative brain, the only way you can do that is by getting rid of fear. The only way you'll be able to manifest what you want is if you don't feel fear. And again, we've been told this for centuries, that this is the answer, this is the way to live, this is the way to get what you want. And again, I refer to the Bible, but it's in all religious traditions, and it's all in all cultures and societies. They teach this message. But the Bible sums it up well when it says, be not afraid. That's it. In fact, in the Bible, it says that more than 300 times. Be not afraid. Have faith. Trust. Let go. Now, isn't that all the opposite of fear? And it's not saying that just because it's a nice idea and wants you to think, well, you know, that it's really the way you should do it. That's what you have to do. It's not saying, please do this, or think about this, or do it sometimes. be not afraid. Because if you're afraid, you're blocking your brain's ability to bring to you everything that you need and want, and everything that's really going to make you happy in your life so that you survive and thrive on a physical level. Okay, so that's what I discovered from years of all the study, that the difference between true manifesting, getting what I really wanted, and what I've helped and seen with other people and what other people were getting, what they really wanted, the difference between getting what you really want and having problems and struggling and not getting what you want simply was fear. That was the only difference. And this is why when you really think about it, you've really got to focus and be aware of this. What sort of mental state are you in when you set a goal, when you ask for something? You know, it also says in the Bible, ask and you will receive. But how many of us, or how many people pray for something, but they don't believe they're going to get it? So they pray, because if you believe you're going to get it, if it was ask and you will receive, it doesn't say ask and maybe I'll consider it, and if I think you should have it, I'll make up my mind and I might give it to you. So if you knew it just says ask and you will receive. So what that's saying to you is you don't need to worry about not receiving it. You don't need to have any fear that you're not going to get it. But what do most people do when they pray? They're afraid that they're not going to get what they're asking for. So they must be afraid because they're all stressed and worried and, oh, please give me this, and I need this to be happy and I want this. And the other thing people do besides praying is they go out and they try and get what they ask for. So they struggle. So they go, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to read that goal out 100 times a day. Or I'm going to look around and struggle and try and find the answer. And they try and of course, trying to do anything, I'm not talking about not putting in effort, but trying is based on fear. Because when you try, you're really saying to yourself, I have to work to try and figure this out because I don't believe I'm going to get it. So one of the things that's really worth contemplating is to say to yourself, when I want something, when I'm trying to manifest something, what do I really believe? And how am I feeling and how am I thinking about this thing that I want? So how certain am I that I'm going to get it? Do I doubt that I might get it? Am I not sure that it's even the right thing for me? Am I constantly looking for ways to try and make this thing that I want, to make it happen, for me to get it, to try and get it? Am I struggling with problems? Am I putting in a lot of stress and struggle? And if your answer to any of those questions is yes, then that's almost guaranteed that you won't get it because you're in a state of fear that you won't get it. And when you're in a state of fear, you're blocking your brain's ability to bring you the thing you're asking for. Now, this is so when I said right at the beginning, there's only one thing you need to do to get anything you want, and it's simple. It's simply that. You need to get rid of your fear. And when you realize that fear is what's driving most of your life, then you realize it's the only enemy you have. Now you might think, is fear really driving my life? Well, again, are you struggling to get what you want? Are you worried that you won't get what you want? Are you worried that you won't have as good a life as you want? Are you trying to figure things out? Are you looking for a new method or a technique or a way? And I know we all are here because we are looking for the answers. But are you worried that you won't get what you're asking for? Are you frustrated? Are you annoyed? Are you angry? Deep down, are you unhappy and wondering, I just want to be happy. I don't know why I'm not happy. I want this. I need it for me to be happy. I need to know I'm a success. I don't want to be a failure in my life. Well, if you think about it, all of these things that you're doing are all based on a worry that you're not going to get it. And if you doubt you're going to get something, you're using your brain the wrong way. Now, of course, the other important things, and people often say to me, well, that's all very well, but how do you get rid of your fear? The first thing to do is to realize that fear is the enemy. And that's what I've been trying to explain in this presentation. Fear is the only enemy you have. And we've been told this, as I said, in the Bible, by every great teacher, is trust, have faith, let go and believe. That's the secret. And it's not, as I say, it's not just a nice idea. It's because this is how your brain works. This is how the machine of your brain works. And we might have not had it explained to us in a way as to why we need to have faith, why we need to trust, why we need to let go and believe. That might not have, and hasn't been explained to us very well, but that is the truth of what we need to do. So how do you do that? How do you get your brain to stop making you afraid so that you can get what you want? Well, of course, there are times when it is good to be afraid, because your brain, if there was no benefit in feeling afraid at all, well, then your brain wouldn't have a fear mechanism attached to it. So you are designed to feel afraid sometimes, but you're only designed to feel afraid when there's really something to be afraid of. In other words, when there's something right in front of you, right in the moment, there's a threat to you that might harm you or might even kill you. So it might be excuse me, a wild animal in primitive times chasing you or ready to attack you, or another person or another tribe attacking you, or some danger that you're facing. That's when you want to be able to react by instinct, of course. And that's why your brain has provided that mechanism for you to do that. So I'm not saying that fear isn't a good thing. It is. But it's a bit like saying the handbrake in your car. Is that a good thing? Well, it is, but it has a very specific use. So when you've stopped and you're on the side of a hill and you don't want to roll away, you pull on the handbrake in the car. That's what it's there for. But if you try and drive and pull on the handbrake, or drive with the handbrake already on, you know that that's a silly idea, that the car's not, it's just not designed to do that. You're not going to get very far, and it's going to be a very unpleasant and potentially problematic journey for you driving with the handbrake on. And you'd say, why would I put the handbrake on? That's not the right situation. It's not the right occasion. It's not the right purpose of the handbrake is to have it on when I'm driving. The only purpose of the handbrake is to stop the car when I'm actually already stopped and to keep it in one place. And it's the same with your brain. This fear mechanism, excuse me, this fear mechanism has a very specific function. It's not designed to be used when you're living your daily life and there are circumstances around you. It's only designed to be used if there's an immediate threat to your survival. And the reason you're using it, the reason you're feeling stressed, is because you're using your brain the wrong way. The reason you're feeling afraid when there isn't an immediate threat or danger to you is because you're using your brain the wrong way. So all you need to do is figure out or learn how to use your brain the right way and do it. And then you find your fear disappears, and you suddenly see how the world actually is. Now, this is part of the problem, and there are lots of ways to do this, and I've developed a method, a process called Neuro-State Rebalancing. And you can find out about that on my website. But the whole purpose of Neuro-State Rebalancing is to get your brain operating the right way so that you only feel afraid in those rare instances when you really are faced by a threat or a danger. So here's an example which shows you of how most people use their brain the wrong way. Now, most people watch the news on television or on their computer, or they read it on their phone or whatever. And what is all of the news designed to do? Well, whether it's designed to or not, what does it do? It makes you feel bad. All of the news is bad. So you read about some disaster or perhaps some some situation or some disease or something that's perhaps spreading around the world, and you see all these images of people dying and people with very long, severe faces saying how serious all of this is. And what happens when you see all this bad news? You feel afraid. You feel bad, stressed, worried, afraid. What immediately happens is when you're in that state is your brain can't allow you to see the big picture. You can only see the negative because your brain's saying, right, literally what's happening, you're interpreting your brain, or rather your brain, because you're using it incorrectly, your brain is interpreting what you're hearing as being a danger to you. So you can be watching on the news that there are all lots of people dying from a disease or some problem, and you feel bad because your brain on a subconscious level is telling you, you could die. You could die from that. Now, the reality is you're not dying. You're sitting in your armchair and you're not dying, are you? There is no immediate threat to your survival. It's not like someone's walking in the door and ready to hit you on the head or shoot you. There's no immediate danger to your survival. But your brain, because you're using it this way, is thinking that it is. So it's activating this part of you to make you feel all stressed and worried, see things for far worse than they actually are, because remember, your awareness, your full awareness is all shut off. You can only see the negative. You can only see the danger. In fact, you can not only see the danger, your brain is only looking for the bad, for the negative. That's what it's designed to do in this state, to make sure that it sees every bit of danger that could be in your environment, so that it gets rid of it and doesn't miss any potential threat. So here you are in this negative state, watching the news. You don't know why, perhaps you've not thought about it. Why do I feel bad? It's because your brain is telling me that whatever's happening in that situation could happen to you. So one of the first things to do, if you want to get rid of fear, is you have to start paying attention to what you're putting into your mental environment. What images, who and what are you allowing to put information into your brain? Because you have a choice. You actually don't have to watch the news. And you might say, well, yes, I do have to stay informed. But you're not being informed by watching the news. Your brain is only interpreting the negative of what you're seeing because you're in a stressed state. So your brain can't show you the real picture. It can't show you the truth of what's really happening if you're feeling in a negative state. So what's the point in watching the news if it makes you feel bad? Because it's only going to give you a warped, distorted, very negative, overly negative view of what's actually going on in your world and in your life. So that's one of the things, the most important things the important things I really want you to take away from this. Firstly, you do have an infinitely powerful computer that's available to you. You've been provided with that infinitely powerful computer. Secondly, that computer is designed to give you everything you want and everything that's going to make you your happiest, your healthiest, your strongest, and your best able to survive in this physical environment. But this brain machine, it also has another emergency function. If you're faced with an immediate danger, it will tell you that by making you feel afraid and therefore shutting down your awareness and your ability to live your ideal life and just react to getting rid of the danger. And if you're feeling afraid because of that, if you're feeling in a negative state, that's the only purpose of that feeling, is to get rid of an immediate danger. You cannot use that to manifest anything that you really want in your life. So to use your brain the right way, all you need to do is figure out a way, and that's why I've created Neuro-State Rebalancing, to ensure your brain only interprets correctly what is dangerous for you in the moment right now. And you can do that. All it's a question of is retraining your brain to use it the right way. It's a bit like your car. You know, you are the driver of your car. So if you meet somebody who's used to driving with the handbrake on, because that's the way they've been taught to drive the car, then you can simply say to them, how are you getting on? And they're going to say, oh, driving is horrible. I hate driving. It's really unpleasant. And I never, I go out with people and they go in their car and I go in mine. And it takes me days, if not weeks, to get to a place that they get to in one day. So it's really horrible, this whole experience of driving a car. I hate it. But if you were able to say to them, well, how about, you see that lever there? If you just release it, now try driving. And they're going to say, oh, I didn't realize driving could be like this. It's so easy and it's so pleasurable. And what are you going to think? You're going to think, well, This is crazy, isn't it? Because all you did was you didn't know how to drive the car properly. You didn't know how to use that machine properly. But now that you do, it's a lot easier and a lot more pleasurable. And it's the same with your brain. All you need to do is have somebody show you how you've been using it the wrong way. And it really is as simple as just releasing the handbrake on your car once you know how. So that's what I teach in Neuro-State Rebalancing. It's a process that gets your brain working without the handbrake on. And it stops you being afraid of things. There's really nothing to be afraid of. And you might think, just as an aside, oh, there's a lot to be afraid of in the world. There only is if that's your perspective, if that's what your brain is telling you. Because when you learn to use your brain the right way, your awareness expands and you see what really is there to be afraid of and what isn't to be afraid of. And instead of spending your life feeling stressed most of the time, you only feel stressed when you really need to be, when you're really faced with an immediate danger, because everything else in your life you can now deal with in a far more resourceful way. So you can get rid of your problems. You can do the right things. You can see the right things to do. You can see solutions to any situation you're in. You can see all of that, and you can get your brain to bring you better situations as well when you're using the full resources of your brain. You know, don't underestimate the power of your brain. A few years ago in Japan, they carried out an experiment with what was then one of the largest supercomputers in the world. It was called the Fujitsu supercomputer. And that computer took 40 minutes to carry out and to do something that the human brain takes 1 second to do. It took 40 minutes to do what your brain can do in 1 second. So your brain is infinitely more powerful than you realize. So why not learn to use it properly? That's all you need to do. And the good thing is, you don't need to learn new techniques, new methods. You don't need to spend hours of meditating or doing affirmations or trying to change anything. I used to do all of that, but the problem is, it's all based on fear. You're trying to force something to happen. And that's why you don't manifest, is because you're trying to force it. And when you try and force something, you're using the limited fear-based part of your brain, because you're coming from a place of lack, of doubt, of disbelief, of worry that you're not going to get what you want to be happy. And all of those things are blocking the true part of your brain's ability to bring you that. So anyway, if you'd like to learn, I hope this has been of use to find out how your brain works. You know, if there's anything you do, make it your mission to get rid of fear from your life, because you can do it. You can just have fear when you really need it, which isn't very often. And the great thing is, when you do that, your awareness expands, and more you see there's less and less to be afraid of. You know, even death. People are afraid of death, but when you think about it, 84% of the world's population profess to belong to a religion of one form or other. Virtually all those religions tell you there's a far better world on the other side after death. So why are we afraid of death? It doesn't make logical sense. Why is it that everybody's running around in a panic, stressed, worried about dying, when they follow a religion that tells them that death is just a doorway to a better world, a better experience, a better life? There is no such thing as death. And when you look at it like that, you realize that that is logically true, and it is true, but your brain's not allowing you to see it. And the reason is, you're trying to drive your brain with the handbrake on. So you're trying to use your brain in a way that can't let you see that. So make getting rid of fear your only mission in life. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, which is within you, and everything else is going to come to you. So thank you very much for joining me. If you'd like to learn more, do visit my website, liamnaden.com, and I look forward to being in touch. Thanks for watching.